Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to break down this really powerful idea from Joseph Nguyen's best-selling book, Don't Believe Everything You Think. It's this incredible guide that basically says the secret to inner peace. It isn't about fixing the world around you, it's about changing the relationship you have with your very own mind. And look, this isn't just some niche idea. Even big thinkers like Simon Sinek have called it an essential first step. And that quote just hits home, doesn't it? That feeling of tossing and turning, fighting with your own thoughts, it's so universal. It tells you right away, you're not alone in this. And hey, there might actually be a way out.
So here's a question that really gets to the core of this whole thing. We all know these feelings, right? Anxiety, stress, that nagging self-doubt, and we usually blame our jobs, our relationships, you name it. But what if? What if the real source of the struggle isn't what's happening to us, but what's happening inside of us? This leads us straight into our first big concept, what the book calls the thinking trap. Let's really dig into why we suffer psychologically in the first place.
Okay, this is such a critical distinction, and it's inspired by this Buddhist idea of the second arrow. So the first arrow is the painful event itself. You lose your job, you have a fight with someone. That stuff happens, right? It's inevitable. But the second arrow, that's the one we shoot at ourselves. It's the story we create about it, the judging, the endless replaying in our minds. That's the suffering. And according to Nguyen, that part is totally optional. And I'm sure a lot of us have been down this road. You try everything you're supposed to, you get into therapy, you build new habits, you try to think positive, and yeah, those things can help for a bit, but so often they feel like you're just putting a Band-Aid on it. That underlying feeling of anxiety, it just creeps back in, and you're left feeling like, am I just stuck like this? Which brings us to what is, honestly, the most important concept in this entire explainer. We have to understand the massive difference between having thoughts and the actual act of thinking. They sound almost the same, but trust me, they are worlds apart. So here's how it breaks down. Thoughts, they just show up. They pop into your head out of nowhere, completely automatic, like clouds floating by in the sky. And they're neutral. They don't mean anything yet. Thinking, on the other hand, is what you do with those thoughts. It's when you reach out, grab out of those clouds, and start analyzing it, judging it, spinning it into a whole drama. One is just something that happens, the other is something you choose to do. And this chart from the book just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the difference in the feeling. Thoughts come from what Nguyen calls the universe. They feel creative, expansive, like a spark of life. Thinking comes from the ego, and it feels restrictive, destructive, and just plain stressful. You can literally feel the difference in your body when you switch from one to the other. Here's a super simple but really profound way to picture this. Your mind isn't a window that's looking out at reality. It's more like a movie projector. The world out there is just a blank screen. It's our thinking that creates the movie that gets played on that screen. The drama, the comedy, the horror film. We're not just watching the movie of our life, we're actively producing it, moment by moment. Okay, so if thinking is the problem, why is our thinking so often negative? Why do we get stuck in these spirals? Well, this isn't just a philosophical idea. It's actually grounded in real psychology. It turns out our brains kind of come with these built-in negative filters. And psychologists have a name for these filters: cognitive distortions. It's basically a fancy term for faulty mental shortcuts our brain takes. They're these warped patterns that twist reality and convince us that things are way, way more negative than they actually are. I mean, do any of these sound familiar? Catastrophizing. That's when one small mistake at work means you're definitely about to get fired. All or nothing thinking. If you're not a perfect success, you're a total failure. Overgeneralization. One bad date means you'll be alone forever. And personalization. Thinking everything that goes wrong is somehow your fault. Just being able to name these things is the first step to taking their power away. So we've figured out the problem is our thinking. The solution then isn't to try and think better thoughts or more positive thoughts. It's actually what Nguyen calls non-thinking. It's learning to just let those thoughts drift by like clouds without having to grab onto them.
And to really get this, there's this classic Zen story in the book. So picture this. A monk is out on a lake, meditating in his boat, trying to find some peace. All of a sudden, bam, another boat bumps right into his, and he is instantly furious. So he jumps up, ready to just scream at whoever was so careless and ruined his quiet moment. But when he looks, he sees the other boat is completely empty. It just drifted into him on its own. And in that instant, he gets it. His anger just vanishes. Where did it go?
There's no one to blame. He realizes the anger didn't come from the boat. It came from his reaction to it. He understood that all the people and situations that make us angry are really just empty boats. They're neutral events, that we're the ones filling up with our own frustrating stories.
That story is a beautiful way to see it, but how do we actually use this idea in our own lives, especially when we're right in the middle of a mental spiral? We need a practical toolkit, right?
Because that's the real question, isn't it? It's one thing to understand this stuff when you're calm, but it's a whole other challenge to stop that runaway train of thought when you're feeling totally overwhelmed. So, how do you actually do it?
Well, Joseph Nguyen offers a really simple acronym to help us remember pause. First, P. Just pause. Stop what you're doing and take a nice deep breath. Get back into your body. Next, A. Ask yourself, is this line of thinking actually useful right now? 99% of the time, the answer is going to be no. Then U. Understand that you have the choice to let it go. You don't have to keep wrestling with it. Then S. Say a mantra, something simple, like, this is just thinking passing through. And finally, E, experience the emotion. Don't fight it, just allow the feeling to be there without judging it, and you'll find it starts to dissolve on its own.
And this all leads us to the final and, I think, most liberating idea in the whole book. When we practice this, we're not building something new. We're just returning to how we're meant to be.
This is the big payoff. We have had it completely backward. We're not on a quest to achieve happiness or find peace. According to Nguyen, those feelings are our factory default settings. They are already inside us, just buried under all the noise and clutter of our constant thinking. The goal isn't addition, it's subtraction. It's about clearing away the noise.
And this quote from the author himself just says it all, perfectly. Happiness isn't found by thinking our way to a better place. It's found in the quiet, in the space that opens up the moment we give our analytical mind a rest.
So I'll just leave you with this final question to ponder. Just imagine all the energy we spend fighting our own thoughts, stuck in those loops of worry and self-criticism. What would be possible in your life if all that energy was suddenly freed up? What could you build? What could you create? What could you simply enjoy if you weren't being held back by our own thinking?